So, we're about 3 weeks into 2022, and at this point, most people have started struggling with their resolutions or goals for the year. Maybe you've even given up already on some of the things you were hoping would happen this year. But what if that didn't have to happen? What if you could set real, tangible goals with someone who already knows what's going to happen? And what if you could actually achieve those goals? Well, you can. What's up, friends? Jeremiah Mensah here with Unashamed City, where it is our mission to know Jesus and make Jesus known. Thank you for joining me once again. And let me take a quick second to say a big thank you for 1,000 subscribers. I truly appreciate every single one of you. Today, I'm talking about how to plan your life with God and actually achieve your goals with Him. But before we get into it, there are a couple of things that you should bear in mind. The first is that God is very interested in you and He cares about what happens in your life. Now, why is this important to know? It's because some people don't believe that. We might feel sometimes that God just put us on this planet, gave us salvation, and then left us to fend for ourselves. But that couldn't be further from the truth. God is very interested in us. In fact, His fascination with us was so surprising to David that he wrote in Psalm 8, verse 3 and 4, "When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have ordained, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you visit him?" Even David couldn't understand why God is so fascinated and interested in human lives. The Bible encourages us to cast our burdens on Him because He cares for us. So don't believe the lie that God doesn't care about you, because He does. Secondly, you need to understand just how trustworthy God is. Not only does He care about you, but He can be trusted with your future. You can trust His will for your life because He is perfect in all His ways. He has no ulterior motive like people who you might meet and they're nice at first, but then later on you find out that you shouldn't have trusted them. God is not like that. He can be trusted with your future. Understanding these two things makes it easier to not just include God in your plans, but to literally plan every aspect of your life with Him. And here's how to go about it. Step 1, familiarize yourself with God's voice if you haven't already. If you're going to plan your life with God, then you should be able to tell when it's Him speaking or you or even the enemy. God's voice always corresponds with His word. So the more time you spend in His word, the easier it will be to know His voice. Now, yes, this can take some time, but if you're consistent, it will happen. And you can plan your life with God at any point in time. It doesn't have to be at the beginning or end of a certain year. But this is a very crucial step, so you cannot skip this. Take your time to learn and know God's voice. Step 2, communication. Most of us know that prayer is the way that we communicate with God, but we need to understand that communication is a two-way street. There's speaking and there's listening. When we hear the word communication, we usually think of the speaking part, but this time I want you to focus on the listening part. Once you've, worshiped and prayed and let God know that you want to plan your life with Him, just stop speaking and start listening. God is not looking for your many words to convince Him. He will respond after you've spoken to Him. Now, you may have to wait patiently for Him to start speaking, and that's why step 1 is so important. You have to be able to recognize His voice. You can't just take anything that comes to your mind. Be patient and wait for His voice, which you've learned to recognize. And I think it goes without saying that this should be done at a time and place that's completely free of distractions. And real quick, if you're being blessed by this video, please do me a favor and bless that like button as well, so that YouTube will know to show it to more people who need it. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Step 3, take notes. This is pretty straightforward. You need to be intentional about your time with God. Take notes so you don't forget what He's telling you. If you're not taking notes, it will limit how much you can hear, because while God is feeding you more information, you're still trying to actively remember what He said 5 minutes ago. Not only is this distracting, but I guarantee that you forget most of what He said before you're done. So don't take that risk. Write everything down. Write the vision down. Step 4, be patient. Yes, patience again. Not only do you have to be patient and wait for God to start speaking, but you also have to wait patiently until He's done speaking. I'm telling you, don't rush Him. This plan can be very detailed to the T, but that will depend on how much time you're willing to spend with Him. If you don't have enough time, just break it up into different sessions. And this is why it's important to take notes, because you can come back and pick up from where you left off. Again, God cares about you, and He actually wants you to know His plan for your life. He's not going to be mad that you had to go to work or something. Just come come back and continue with him. But with that said, still give a good amount of time per session, because this is your life that you're planning. It's not a 5-minute affair. When I did this a few weeks ago, it took me over a week to write down a general 5-year plan and a very detailed 1-year plan. And even with that, there are still things that are happening in my life that I'm like, God, you didn't tell me about this. And he's like, well, if you had come for a few more sessions, I would have told you about it. So don't rush him. He has so much to show you. Just wait patiently until he's done. Okay, so you know God's voice and you waited patiently and took notes until he was done. Now it's time for the execution of the plan. But because we're all unique and God's plans for us differ from person to person, I can't tell you exactly how to execute God's plans for yourself. But you know who can? God. The same God who helped you plan your day and month and year or years is the same God who will help you execute that plan. Don't just write it down and say, okay, I'll take it from here. No, God is the one who's going to help you achieve your goals. So include him in every step of the way. It takes his grace to execute the plan. When you're feeling down or sad or discouraged, which can happen sometimes, it is God who will strengthen you to keep going. So don't leave him out of the execution part. Like he says, it is not by your might or by your power. It is by his Spirit. Rely on him and continue to communicate with him. Remember the listening part so that you can stay on track with the plans and the goals that you have set. Question of the day. Have you planned your life for God recently? How's it going? Share in the comments below and let's support one another. That's it for today, friends. Thank you for joining me and I hope this video blessed you. You can click right here to watch my video on how to return to God if you've been away for a while. Until next time, God bless you. Take care and continue to live unashamed.